Let me ask you something. What would happen if you cut your spending in half, starting tomorrow? Not 10% less, not skipping your morning coffee, I mean half. Everything you normally spend, slashed. Most people hear that and immediately think, that's impossible. I'd have to give up everything. That's exactly what I thought too. But 1 year ago, I made a decision that felt borderline insane at the time. I committed to living on exactly 50% of my take-home income every single month for an entire year. No exceptions. No treat-yourself months. No quiet rule bending in December because of the holidays. And what happened over those 12 months genuinely surprised me. Not just the numbers, though the numbers are wild and I'll show you all of them, but what it did to my mindset, my relationships, my stress levels, and honestly, my entire identity around money. I'm Barry, not your Uncle Barry who forwards weird messages in the family group chat. And before we start, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Let me set the scene. About 14 months ago, I was earning a decent income. Nothing extraordinary, but enough that I should have been comfortable. And on the surface, I was. I had a nice apartment, I went out on weekends, I upgraded my phone every 2 years like clockwork. I bought things when they went on sale because it was a good deal. I subscribed to things and forgot about them. I told myself I'd start saving more seriously next month. Sound familiar? The problem wasn't that I was irresponsible. I wasn't blowing money on gambling or luxury cars. I was just leaking. Slowly, quietly, constantly leaking money in every direction, the way most people do. I did the math one Sunday afternoon, I still remember it clearly, and realized that after a full year of working, I had almost nothing to show for it in savings. The number on my screen made me feel sick. I'd spent nearly everything I earned, like almost every single dollar. And the worst part? I couldn't even tell you where it went. It just dissolved into convenience, comfort, and a lifestyle I'd inflated without ever consciously deciding to. That Sunday was the turning point. I gave myself a week to feel bad about it, and then I made the rule. 50%. Live on 50%. Save and invest the other half. 1 year. No excuses. Now, before you check out thinking this is some extreme minimalist fantasy, let me be clear about what this challenge actually looked like. I wasn't sleeping on a mattress on the floor. I wasn't eating plain rice and beans every day. I wasn't living like a monk. I set a few ground rules for myself going in. Rule 1. The 50% I lived on covered everything. Rent, groceries, utilities, transportation, subscriptions, eating out, everything. If it cost money, it came from that half. Rule 2. The other 50% was completely untouchable. It went, automatically, the day after payday, into a separate account I made deliberately inconvenient to access. Some of it went into a high-yield savings account. Most of it went straight into index funds. Rule 3. No credit card debt. If I couldn't afford it from my 50%, I didn't buy it. Period. Rule 4. I allowed myself one exception review per month, where I could look at my budget and make one intentional swap. Not a cheat. A conscious reallocation. That was it. Simple rules. Brutally simple. The simplicity was actually the whole point, because complicated systems are systems people abandon. Let me be honest with you. The first month was rough. Not because I was starving or miserable, but because of how loud the discomfort was psychologically. I'd walk past a restaurant I used to go to without thinking twice, and I'd feel this weird mix of deprivation and irritation. I'd see something online I wanted to buy, add it to a cart, and then close the tab. That tiny moment of friction felt enormous at first. I also had to have some uncomfortable conversations. Friends wanted to do things that didn't fit my budget. I had to learn to say, that doesn't work for me right now, without over-explaining myself. That was harder than I expected. By month 2, something started to shift. I got creative in ways I hadn't been in years. I started cooking meals I actually looked forward to. I found free and cheap things to do that I genuinely enjoyed more than expensive alternatives. I realized that a lot of what I'd been spending money on wasn't actually making me happy. It was just filling time. Month 3 is when I started to feel the psychological shift everyone talks about but nobody fully explains. I stopped feeling deprived, and I started feeling free. There's something that happens when you watch your savings grow consistently. When you see that number go up every single month without fail, that rewires how you feel about your future. For the first time in a long time, I felt like I was building something, like my future self was going to thank me instead of inherit my mess. The middle stretch of the year was where the real learning happened. I got better at identifying what I actually valued versus what I'd been spending on out of habit, boredom, or social pressure. Those are three very different spending triggers, and most people never separate them. Habit spending is automatic. You don't even decide, you just do it. For me, it was food delivery. I wasn't hungry. I wasn't even craving anything specific. It was just what I did when I was tired. Boredom spending is the dangerous one. It disguises itself as enjoyment. Scrolling and buying, browsing and adding to cart, it feels like leisure, but it's actually just restlessness with a price tag. Social spending was the one I had to examine most honestly. How much of what I was buying was about fitting in, keeping up, or managing how others perceived me? The answer was uncomfortable. Cutting back on all three didn't make my life smaller. It actually made it more intentional. I started spending on the things I genuinely loved. A few good meals a month, experiences with people I care about, books, and I stopped spending on everything else almost entirely. My stress levels dropped noticeably around month 6. I think it's because financial anxiety runs in the background of your mind constantly when you're not building any cushion. Once I had real savings accumulating, that background noise started to quiet down. Okay, let's talk numbers. Over the course of 12 months, I saved and invested exactly 50% of my take-home income every single month. Every month. I didn't miss one. The total amount I invested and saved was more money than I had saved in the previous 4 years combined. Let that sink in. Same job, same salary, 4 times the financial progress in 1 year, just by being intentional about where my money went. But here's what surprised me even more than the savings number. My quality of life didn't drop by 50%. Honestly, on most metrics, it improved. I was eating better because I was cooking more. I was sleeping better because financial anxiety wasn't eating at me. I had more meaningful experiences because I was choosing them deliberately instead of just defaulting to whatever was convenient and expensive. I also discovered something about lifestyle inflation that I think is the most important financial lesson nobody teaches you. The jump from $0 in savings to $10,000 in savings feels better than almost any purchase you can make. The security changes how you walk through your life. I'm not here to tell you to copy exactly what I did. Your income, your obligations, your life, they're different from mine. Maybe 50% isn't realistic for you right now. Maybe it's 30%. Maybe it's 20%. The number isn't the point. The point is that most of us are spending by default instead of by design. We let the money leave and then wonder where it went. And we keep telling ourselves we'll get serious about it later. Next raise, next year, next life stage. Later is expensive. Every month you wait costs you more than the month before because of what compound growth does over time. What I'd challenge you to do, starting this week, not next month, is figure out your real number. Look at what you actually earned last month and what you actually spent. Then ask yourself honestly, is the gap between those two numbers building the future I want? If the answer is no, something has to change. And the good news is, it doesn't have to be as painful as you think. If this video gave you even one thing to think differently about, hit the like button. It genuinely helps this channel reach people who need to hear it. I'll see you in the next one.